Well, reports of my demise were apparently greatly exaggerated. What is going on, y'all? James from Shinmaker Enterprises back here with another video today. I guess first, brief apology. Real life has just kind of been crazy the last couple months. I've had a lot of stuff going on. Been actually getting out and bowling a lot of tournaments. Defending the UBA heavyweight belt. Just life, honestly. I'm starting a new job in about a week and a half as well. I'm filming this the Saturday before Thanksgiving. So life's been crazy, and honestly, YouTube has kind of had to take a little bit of a backseat the past couple months, and so yeah, so I would like to apologize for the lack of content that I've been creating recently, but I am back. I got some exciting stuff coming down the pipe, and that is actually what I'm here to talk about today. So this new series that I'm going to be launching, I'm going to be targeting to get videos out Wednesday at noon Eastern every week. It's probably going to go for 8 or 9 weeks or so. It's a new series called This or That. And basically the idea behind it is, you know, I've spent the last, 4 months and a bit, honestly drilling way more equipment than I probably should, and kind of parsing through a bunch of ideas and some kind of higher level thought process change, essentially, of kind of how I manage ball motion and the shapes that I like to carry around in an arsenal with me. And so what I'm going to kind of take y'all on that journey a little bit through this series. So I've got this kind of structure in my head, at least, of kind of how I'm building my arsenal at this point for, you know, if I'm going in blind to a tournament situation. And I'm just going to kind of step through each of those different roles in a bag and explain kind of what I'm looking to get from that particular spot, how things might have changed slightly or dramatically, as the case may be, over the past several months, and as I've learned all this new kind of information and thought process change through free agency. And essentially at the end of this, I mean, assuming it all goes according to plan, which I would like to think that it will, since I'm going to be the one doing it, it'll be essentially how I build my arsenal, how I think about my arsenal, and what is actually in my bag right now, kind of all rolled into one, but kind of chunked up a little more piecemeal as well. The idea here is to get some content out there about some awesome equipment, most of which is available right now. Rest in peace Insight and IQ Nano Pearl, but other than that, so yeah, to kind of get the content out there and kind of semi ball reviews, but not in the traditional sense of just, hey, here's this awesome new ball, but delving a little more into the nuance and the why of how different balls that are still pretty similar and can cover roughly the same role, you know, how they differ, and which ones, the traits and such that I'm looking for in each of those spots. So I'm actually pretty excited about this series. I think it's going to be educational for me to make it, just to kind of hash all my thoughts out and get them put pen to paper, metaphorically speaking. And hopefully it's helpful for you as well. So I'll just kind of briefly step through what I've got right now in terms of a general kind of slot based. It's just somewhat similar slot based architecture to what Tamer Bowling uses for kind of how he describes equipment, but I view the spots as a little more kind of freeform than anything else. Like, they're rough descriptors, but there's still a lot of variability and potential variability within each. So I'll just kind of go top to bottom. Top of the bag is going to be my really early, almost kind of grindy, slow, tumbly, really high traction blendy ball. This is the one where I just want the ball to slow down and roll, but not go crazy down lane. Stuff like right now, the kind of soup du jour for this right now is my pin down VIP Affliction, but I think the phase 2 is with some surface is in this group. I think the Axiom is in this group. I'm actually going to be testing mine in that slot for this video series. But essentially, you want the ball to really slow down early and be really smooth down lane. This is going to be a really valuable ball for when I'm bowling on really cliffy conditions where there's a ton of volume in the middle of the lane and not much to the outside. And it'll just kind of let me, slog the ball through the giant puddle in the middle of the lane and not really have to worry about the friction all that much because the ball creates so much friction itself. From that, I'm going to go down to, I'm still kind of trying to work out a term for this. This is sort of my like big torquey ball, for lack of a better term, but it's going to be like, to put a more label-based descriptor on it, is mid-strength sanded covers and asymmetric cores. So essentially, this is where I'm close on overall like friction creation with my big grindy ball, but I just need something that has a little more definition to it in the mid lane and has a little more positive like tumble and roll through the pins rather than being really slow and loopy. The Jackal Ghost and the Insight, may rest in peace, are my two kind of leading balls right here, as well as I'm still debating. I've got an Alpha Crux, a 50x5x45 that I actually drilled, I think back on Kansas City Open weekend in September. Might pull that out just for kicks and giggles. Test that alongside the Ghost and the Insight, which I think will be actually kind of insightful, pun intended. I think it's a lot closer to some of the current line stuff than a lot of people give the Alpha credit for. So I think that'll be interesting to test. And then moving down from there it's another kind of odd category, but I think of it as like my bridge ball. This is the one that I'm going to look to where my two really early balls are just too much cover, but then my weaker stuff, either from a cover or a core perspective, just won't read the lane soon enough. This is where I used to use when I was carrying a 900 Global Zen earlier this year, I used that one there quite a bit. My first Zen was actually, I don't know if I talked about this very much on my channel, but my first Zen was a little more slow and forward on friction, and the second one that I drilled right before I went out to nationals was actually a good bit quicker and significantly more directional change on friction. So that, thinking more about kind of how my first Zen worked, was it was essentially sat in between like a phase 2 and an idle synergy type of idea, where the phase 2 is too early and slow, the synergy is too far down the lane, and I need something to sit in that gap right there. My go-to for this has been a Columbia 300 Power Torque, which is, I think, an absolutely incredible ball. I actually shot 300, 806, I think, out of the box with it at Village Lanes over in Durham. It's basically an Idle Pro with a Columbia 300 label on it, which is a really, I can't praise it more than that, because I loved the Idle Pro. That's actually what I won my contract with a couple years back. So the Power Torque, and I've just kind of been letting it lane shine, is the leading contender in that spot. But I've also got, just got the shipping notice yesterday for my Idle Helios. And at least based on the eye test, I think that is going to be in the same general reaction space from a shape on friction and responsiveness perspective to the Power Torque. Even though it is basically the exact same cover as the Axiom and just a little bit different core, it looks a little more boinky on friction than the Axiom does, and I think that's going to put it a little closer to the Power Torque. So then we've got the big early slow ball, the Torque ASIM, or Power ASIM, I guess is what I might call it. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Got my bridge ball, and now we're getting into kind of the middle chunk of the bag, which is going to be my true benchmark ball. Got a few different balls. I'm actually on my way to, before the first frame up in Henderson, to shoot video for the benchmark ball spot. We got 3 in the trunk for this. I've got a pin-up IQ Nano Pearl, a pin down Venom Shock, and a pin in the middle finger All Road. So these are kind of the three that I've been favoring the most for the kind of benchmark category. This is the one that's going to be essentially a less cover, less core version of the really strong blendy ball. So it's that same idea, but one that's going to be in play on lower volume situations where I still need that same type of control down lane, and also really, really good on short stuff. So then from there, a couple of slots that are just literally one ball and one ball only is in consideration here. The first is the Pro Motion spot, and I'm just going to call this video Eating Crow, because that ball is absolutely incredible. It's this like offset, like super blendy shape. That's not as much positive traction as the big symmetrical piece, but also more blend than the normal benchmark spot. And it's a weird ball, but when it works, there is literally nothing like it, and mine goes everywhere with me for tournament play for that reason. The other one is my kind of main shiny symmetrical ball. It's the Idol Synergy, and this is another one where there's literally no contest. It is GOAT level material for me. They just discontinued the Synergy a couple months ago. I have one drilled here in North Carolina. I have one drilled that lives in Luke and Angela Rosedal's basement out in Kansas, and I have a case of blanks here in Raleigh. So I really can't recommend it much more than that. Like, it is that good of a ball in so many different situations that there's literally, I've never had a ball that works this well in this role, but has so much, has such a wide usage range at the same time. Stepping down from that, I've got the weak shiny ball, which there's a few different options here. The three that I'm probably going to be showcasing are going to be the Intel Pearl SE, the Hustle Camo, and the High Road Pearl. So these are all kind of the ones that I'm going to look to when the Synergy and the benchmark ball are just a little too early. I need something to get down the lane a little more and control my friction a little bit more, and that's exactly what these are all designed to do. They all have their own nuances and their own ways of accomplishing this, but yeah, I mean, they're all... The Intel Pearl SE, I think, is one of the best balls Brunswick is making, period, right now. The Hustle Camo is legit a contender for Ball of the Year, period, for this year. And, I mean, the High Road Pearl is the High Road Pearl. It's won majors, it's won tournaments all over the world. Can't say more than that. It's a high road, you know? Enough said. And then, of course, I always take a plastic ball with me. I actually got a new Maxim in the trunk that I'm going to try and punch up before I start filming this morning. But yeah, that's kind of the general structure that I am using for this, for my arsenal at this point. This is actually one that I mostly used for a tournament weekend back in April when I went out to Kansas City. It was a doubleheader weekend at Royal Crest Lanes, and I essentially took, functionally speaking, this same type of structure was my arsenal for the weekend. It worked really, really well, and I had an answer for everything. The main issues were just operator error. So it's kind of, I've been trying to kind of dial back to a simpler outlook on how to manage everything, and, you know, get to this point where I have an arsenal with, you know, clear roles, but enough coverage to deal with all the different situations I'm going to run into on a regular basis. So anyways, that is kind of the general structure. So you got the big grindy ball, the Power ASIM, the bridge ball, benchmark, Pro Motion, the main shiny, which is an Idol Synergy, the weak ball, or the weak shiny, and then a spare ball. And that's essentially my baseline structure that I'm using for my arsenals these days. I'm gonna try. I'm still debating on this. I'm shooting on chromium this morning up in Henderson. I'm debating whether or not I just use the same test pattern for the entire video series, or if I try to get some different patterns out there to more explicitly highlight kind of the proper usage windows for each of these spots. But regardless, I want to make sure that I can properly kind of illustrate the ball-to-ball differences for you guys in these videos, and I think that'll be extremely beneficial to kind of show how these might be used and why I prefer what I prefer from these different kind of spots in my bag. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for now. People are being slightly crazy out here on 70 at the moment, but you know, that's just another day that ends in Y here in Raleigh. Yeah, definitely let me know if there are specific kind of topics or questions you want answered in any of the specific videos that I'm going to be making for these different slots in my arsenal. I'm very excited to kind of bring you all along on this journey, and I'm definitely I'm going to try and get more content out there. I'm going to probably actually put out a dedicated Idle Helios review as well once I get that and have a chance to get some games on it. I think it should be here on Monday or Tuesday. So that'll be coming soon. Actually, as I'm thinking about it, I might make a video roasting the Trend 2 as well, because I absolutely hate that ball. It's just weird and I don't like it. So can't win them all. But anyways, thank you all for watching. Definitely let me know if there are any specific questions you want me to kind of answer, or topics to touch on for the individual videos of this or that series. And excited to bring you all along on this journey. But for now, good luck and good bowling. Peace.